Welcome to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Real, taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Yeah, I'm back with some more Cavs stuff today. An interesting developments coming out of Cleveland today with the Cavs, so I'm gonna get into it here. Before I get into it, though, like I said, if you could please subscribe for me, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate that. That's the best way you can support my channel. And if you haven't seen my episode from yesterday, go check that out. Where LeBron's last dance. I did that whole thing about why LeBron was sitting courtside Game 4. I'm going to get into a little bit more of that today because it all kind of intertwines together with some of this Cavs news. What I think could be a possibility of what could be happening right now with LeBron, the Cavs, and everything that's just going on. Could be unfolding this summer with free agency and everything. So, yeah. And if you haven't checked out my episode from Sunday as well, please go check that out, the Mother's Day special. My sister Julia joined the show. She was phenomenal. It was probably my proudest show I've ever done, just because I was able to let her come up here and couldn't be prouder to be her brother. So please go check out that show if you haven't seen it already. Really would recommend that to you guys. But let's get into it. So the Cavs last night lost to the Boston Celtics, and they were up 3-1 Boston. Like I said yesterday on my show, I didn't expect the Cavs to win yesterday. I don't think anybody did. Donovan Mitchell once again didn't play. Jarrett Allen once again didn't play. Caris LeVert once again didn't play. And I may have a reason why. I have maybe a theory why he didn't play. But the Cavs clearly, like I said yesterday, were packing it up. I think after the Game 3 loss Saturday, they figured, they're not going to win the series. And so I think Game 4, they kind of, they fought back hard, Darius and, Evan, but you didn't really think they could win the series. Nobody did. It's Boston's a little more in their prime. Their star players and most of their core. And so, anyways, after the game yesterday, now Evan Mobley had a great game yesterday. He had 33 points, double-digit rebounds, looked great. And he's looked great, especially on offensively. He's looked a lot better without Jarrett Allen. And so I'm going to get into that down the road as well. Actually, right now. So let's get into it. So last night, Shams Charania, Jason Lloyd, and Joe Varden put out an article on The Athletic what talks about what's next for Donovan Mitchell, J.B. Bickerstaff, and Darius Garland, and the Cavs. And so I'm going to get into this article right now, and I'm going to break down what I think is really going on from all this. So let's get to it. So in the article, great article, by the way, by the three of them, it talks about how Darius Garland, number one, we'll start with him, Mr. Garland. So in the article, it alludes that basically if the Cavs extend Donovan Mitchell, right, this summer, Darius Garland's most likely going to force his way out of here. He would want out. And basically the article alludes that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell can no longer basically play together on the court. We've basically seen the last of that. That those two are probably never going to play a game again as backcourt mates for the Cavs. So that's the first part, is Darius Garland looks like he's on his way out of town, because I don't think Donovan Mitchell is going to leave, because that's the big thing. Who do you pick between Donovan and Darius? Obviously, you would take Donovan. You're trying to win a championship. And so, but a lot of people in the media today see this, or especially Lakers fans and, some of the more bigger market medias are picking up, well, gee, Donovan Mitchell might get traded. The Lakers, they can go trade him. They can get him. I don't think so. As you can see here in the article with Shams Charania, Joe Varden, and Jason Lloyd, it says, but that may not be the case after all, as according to Shams Charania, Joe Varden, Jason Lloyd of The Athletic, there is growing belief that Mitchell will indeed sign a contract extension to remain with the Cavaliers for the foreseeable future. Quote in the article, the Mitchell situation will be resolved this summer. There is a growing sentiment around the league that the Cavaliers will be able to position themselves to receive his commitment for a lucrative contract extension that would keep him in Cleveland past his 30th birthday. Teammates have described Mitchell this season as singularly focused on winning and wanting Cleveland to aim much higher than a first-round series victory for its measure of success. And so, yeah, I don't, and I said this yesterday, I don't see, I think Donovan's staying. I think Donovan's got the money right in front of him, coming off the knees and the knee injury, or some of the injuries he's had, or the calf injury, I believe. And so, take the money, and I think he will take the money. Now, moving on to the next part, though. So that's part one. So I think Darius is probably on his way out of town. So that leads to the next person in the article that was mentioned, Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen didn't play this series at all versus Boston because of an injury. Now, in the article, it alludes that they could have gave Jarrett Allen a shot. I think he has a rib injury. I don't remember exactly what his exact injury is, but they could have gave him a shot, the shot that basically numbs the pain, and Jarrett Allen refused the shot. And so that was also thrown in the article about how he didn't want to take the shot, and so that's why he didn't really play. Now, my thoughts on that is I don't blame Jarrett Allen if he doesn't want to get something injected in his body. That's his choice. And maybe the pain was so bad he probably figured maybe if he's that hurt, maybe he figured the shot wouldn't help at all. And so he just said, you know what, I can't play. But it is interesting because Donovan Mitchell, who's your franchise player, he's out there playing on one leg, giving it all he can, and Jarrett Allen's sitting out. So it's a little different there. You can see in just the balance of things and how certain guys are on the team, especially your key pieces. This is your core four, Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Allen. And so that's the next part of it. And according to Jason Lloyd today, he believes on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, he believes that we've seen the last of Jarrett Allen in a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform. And I agree with that. I think we have too. And I think, it's funny, last night when I watched Evan Mobley put up the 33 points, and you watch him this series playing the true five down low, having the paint all to himself as the real, cemented as the big man down low. We already know how great he was a defender on defense. He could switch out on guards, on wings, great shot blocker, lateral quick. I mean, he's very good. His long arm, shot blocking, rebounding. But offensively is where we want to see his game really evolve this year. And he's hitting the three more, especially in the corner. And I think what you really saw in the playoff series versus Boston, too, was just his post game, because he had all that space to operate. And you saw last night the jump hook with the left hand, the right hand, in the high pick and roll, the way he dives to the basket, how quick he is getting to the basket. I mean, he's just a very all-around great player, it looks like. And he's only 22 years old. And so I've always believed in Evan Mobley. That's why I defended him on the show this year and said I think he was misused. And I think a lot of it's because of the imbalance of the roster, which I think now they're starting to realize and they are going to fix. And also in the article with Jarrett Allen and Garland, and speaking of those guys, it also mentioned too about, and there's reports on this today, that Donovan Mitchell was kind of frustrated at some of the lack of maturity on this team with some of the younger guys. And I think some people, if you listen or if you look around, I think that's pointed towards a little bit of Jarrett Allen and a little bit of Donovan and a little bit of Darius Garland, if I'm being honest. I don't think Evan Mobley's got immaturity problems. I think you watch Evan Mobley, he's very quiet. He's very very straight, very just locked in on what he does. You can tell that just by watching him, his body language. The other two, it can be a little, so that is part of it too. And I don't know, maybe Okoro, he's one of the younger guys on the team. I don't know. We don't know the names, but that is something that was thrown out there today as well. Also in the article, it talks about head coach JB Bickerstaff and how JB Bickerstaff hasn't really had the locker room all year, it seems like. That a lot of guys in the locker room have not believed in JB Bickerstaff and just don't like his style of coaching, don't like the way he goes about things sometimes, just the way he coaches and stuff. And Mike and I said this on the show recently. I think we've seen the last of JB as a head coach of the Cavs. it seems like too he's probably going to get fired within the next week or two. That's what the growing sentiment seems to be, that he's probably gone. And the Cavs put out a report last night as well that they like JB, but they got to upgrade. They could do better. So, and I like JB too. I think JB did a great job this year. I think with a lot of the circumstance, I think JB's done a good job overall. But you look at where the Cavs are right now. There's two things here. Number one, if you look at where the Cavs are right now, every franchise, when they're at a point where the Cavs are, where they're on the step of walking through the door of being a real contender, right? A lot of times you need that coach that can get you over the hump, that can lead you over, that can get you to the next level where you need to go. I always allude to, when what's his name? Jordan's coach in the 80s. Can't remember his name right now. I'll think of it in a second. Doug Collins, excuse me. When Doug Collins was the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, they were getting to the playoffs. They were doing okay, but eventually they had to hire Phil Jackson, the mind that he had, the system to implement, to complement all the pieces with Tex Winter to get him over the hump. And they got over the hump and won the championship, became a dynasty, probably the greatest dynasty in one of the best dynasties in the history of sports. So, but again, this is very common in all sports. Sometimes you need the coach that can get you over the hump. And so it sounds like JB Bickerstaff is probably on his way out of town as well. And that's why I put in the thing today, you can see in the thumbnail, shaking it up. And so, yeah, I think Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland, and JB Bickerstaff, I think, are all out. I think Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley to me are staying. They're not going anywhere, especially Evan. Evan ain't going nowhere. But he's your franchise pillar still, and Donovan. So those two are staying. And going back to the report again, if you don't believe me, some of the Lakers fans have their hopes high today. We're going to steal Donovan. You can see it right there. The growing sentiment is from people that are very straightforward, cover the Cavs very closely. Even Shams Charania knows the league very well, and Joe Varden. Jason Lidd's covered the Cavs for a long, long time. The growing sentiment is Donovan's probably staying. And so, also in the article too, and what it seems to me by reading this article and just some of the things I've heard today and seen is, it doesn't sound like Donovan Mitchell was really too privy, too high of JB Bickerstaff. So I think that's another reason too. And obviously, if you're going to pick between JB and Donovan, the player always outweighs that. So you're keeping Donovan, obviously. So I think that's where we are. And also, Dan Gilbert came out recently, made the comments about how, we believe he feels pretty good. I'm paraphrasing, but Dan Gilbert feels pretty good about Donovan staying. And so I think what the Cavs have done here is they're pivoting themselves for a bigger move. And if you look up there at the top right corner, going back to yesterday, who's up there in the right corner? That's Mr. LeBron James. Why do I have LeBron James on the thing today? Well, going back to my presentation yesterday where I talked about LeBron's last dance, and I talked about why I thought the real meaning behind LeBron sitting courtside of the game Monday night was in Cleveland. That it wasn't about the Lakers, a Lakers ploy. It wasn't about trying to pressure the Lakers. Because going back to what I showed yesterday, and I'll go back to that, why would LeBron need to put pressure on the Lakers when they've said right here, this is from David Menman last week before all this, the Lakers want him back in any term that he wants. And they would offer him up to $164 million over 3 years. So why would LeBron need to go put pressure on the Lakers if they just said they'll give him whatever he wants? And they were even interested in drafting Bronny. And let's go hire JJ Redick, and we're going to get Darius Garland, we're going to get Donovan Mitchell or Trae Young, and we're going to get it done in LA, right? But I don't see that happening. And I broke down yesterday in my show why I think LeBron was really more signaling towards a return to Cleveland on Monday night, and why the Cavs also, why I thought it was so strategic in what he did, and why it was such a signal to me was because the same night his son's in the combine, he's at the Cavs game. Well, the Cavs also will have a pick at about the 20s of the first round, and they could take Bronny right there. I don't think LA is going to take Bronny with their 17th pick. I don't think you could justify that in LA. And I also don't think either that what's the safest place for Bronny to go and grow as a player? You think drafting Bronny after all he's been through and still going, that's why he didn't have the best college season, because I think mentally he was still getting over a lot of things from what happened to him last summer with his physical problem. And, I think the best place for Bronny to grow and flourish as a player, I think LeBron would probably maybe agree, maybe not, but in my opinion, would be Cleveland. He's from the area. He was born and raised here for most of his life. All his family still lives here, a lot of them. And you look at the Cavs. The Cavs need a backup point guard. I think that's what he can develop into, kind of that Davion Mitchell, Drew Holiday, Derek White kind of guy. Like he even said, those are the guys he models his game after the other day. I think he can develop into that. He's had a pretty good combine. But just the pressure of it. And where can he be loved and accepted, I think, would be in Cleveland. Cleveland fans, we would love that, Brian, because it's like the hometown feeling again. And there's no pressure either. There will be no... You could justify it in Cleveland, taking him in the first round. You can't do that in LA or New York or places like that, where the pressure's higher and the fans are a little more... basketball means more in those cities. Not the basketball doesn't mean anything here, obviously, but everyone knows Cleveland's a football town first. But because Bronny's from here, I think it's an easier transition for him to in the league to come to the Cavs, not LA. And I don't know what shot he would have of developing in LA, of even getting a chance to play on the court with his dad, because I just look at their roster, they're pretty guard heavy. And I just don't see how that's a good place for him to go develop as a player for his rookie year. So I think the Cleveland Cavaliers make a lot of sense, not only for Bronny, but for LeBron James as well. And so yesterday on my show, I broke down all the reasons why I think LeBron has been signaling for a while now that he's been coming back to the Cavs, that he's thinking about coming back to the Cavs, possibly this summer. He can obviously opt out of his contract, or he can opt in, or he can do a sign and trade to wherever he likes to go. And so yesterday I showed how in 2014, when LeBron was in Miami, from 2012 to 2014, I showed yesterday how throughout those years, up until he officially signed with the Cavs in 2014, he sent a lot of different signals. And he talked about how, he was open to coming back to Cleveland in 2012, this is when that all started. And then I showed over time how a lot of the same things he said this year as a Laker and his past 2 years as a Laker is very similar to when he was in Miami. So stay with me here. So if you watched my show yesterday, I broke that down, how it's there's a lot of similar patterns from LeBron and things he puts out. LeBron's very calculated, very strategic in everything he does. And how leading up to when he officially left Miami to come back to Cleveland, it was pretty... If you would have looked in the tea leaves and looked out there at some of the things he was saying publicly, which I showed yesterday, it wasn't really surprising that he came back to Cleveland. And so I think a lot of the same things he's done this year is in the past 2 years, rather, which I showed yesterday in my show. I always talk about the Cavs, how he likes his core, how he likes how they drafted, and blah, blah, blah. And then yesterday he walks, and then how he came to Zydrunas Ilgauskas' jersey retirement ceremony in 2014, and then 4 months later he signed back with the Cavs, right? And so I showed from the Miami Heat time and that timeline. Well, today I'm going to show you how some of the things LeBron has said this year as well is similar to what he did back in 2017, 2018, his last year with the Cavs, before he went to the Lakers. And so I'm going to get into that right now, why I think we could be seeing this unfold again, why I called this LeBron's last dance, and why, with all this reporting today, with the report about the Cavs and about, it seems like Darius Allen and Bickerstaff are on the way out of town, why I put LeBron up in the right-hand corner, and why I think Donovan and Mobley are staying. So I'm going to break this down for you real quick. So stay with me here. So back in 2018, this is 2017 rather, LeBron James is sitting up there before the season, and a lot of people already knew at this time. I was in high school at this time. I followed this very closely. I need to drink water first. You know what? Need to make sure I stop and take some water breaks. But back in 2017, there was already a ton of rumors out there about LeBron going to LA, and that a year from now in 2018, at that time, he's going to go to the Lakers. And, what's his name? The longtime reporter went on Colin Cowherd's show the summer before. I can't remember his name. He's a longtime NBA reporter. And basically said, there was a lot of rumors, a lot of heat. And Kyrie just got traded from the Cavs. And you could just kind of tell, like, gee, this might be LeBron's last season in Cleveland for now. But beginning of the season, though, LeBron said that, Peter Vesey, that's who it was. Peter Vesey went on Colin Cowherd's show, I remember, a year in advance, and said it's a done deal. He's going to the Lakers, he was told. And there was a lot of people hearing those rumors. I remember I heard some things, some other people, you could just, there was a lot of things out there we all heard. It was all in the media. Even privately, people were hearing things. They were putting it out in the media. There was a lot of smoke, and he eventually did go to LA. But before then, though, in 2017, LeBron goes up there in the when the Cavs had their media day, and he says, he still intends to finish his career in Cleveland. And so a lot of people are like, well, gee, maybe this is all nothing. Maybe he'll sign the Supermax contract in 2018, and he'll stay in Cleveland. Kind of similar to what I showed you yesterday, and I'll bring it back up. This is what LeBron said this year as a Laker this season. LeBron says he hopes to remain a Laker as his career draws to a close. 50-50 if he wants a farewell tour. So, in 2017, this guy says, as a Cavalier, I would love to finish my career as a Cleveland Cavalier still. We all know what happened a year later. He went to LA like everybody thought. But this year as a Laker, he's doing the same thing. There's a lot of this smoke. He's got upcoming pending free agency. His son's about to get drafted. Does he want to play with his son? Right? We hear all the smoke going on right now. He says he hopes to remain a Laker. Well, we've kind of heard this before, though. Right? So stay with me here. So what else did LeBron do? Oh, that summer in 2017. As you can see here on the screen. So the picture on the top is LeBron at the game the other night. The last time LeBron James attended a game publicly, under contract as another team, went to another team's game publicly as under contract of another team. So he's under contract with the Lakers still. He went to a Cavs game. The last time he did this as a Cavalier was when on the bottom there he went to go check out the Lakers in 2017 at their summer league game. This is when the Lakers just drafted Lonzo Ball, and they had Kyle Kuzma. They had that great summer league team that pretty much beat everybody. They won the championship. And all this smoke, Peter Vesey just went on Colin Cowherd's show and said what he said. There's a lot of smoke around the Lakers. So the last time LeBron did what he did the other night was back then. And what was the outcome of that back then? He went to the Lakers, right? And so the last time he's at the game, in 2017, another team's game was with the Lakers. He ended up going to the Lakers. He also said at that time as well, he intended to finish his career in Cleveland. Yeah. And did he finish his career in Cleveland? No, he went to LA. The same team that he went and saw their game publicly in person. Just like he did the other night. And what did I show you earlier? What did he say this year? Right here. He hopes to remain a Laker. Finish his career in LA. And you see all the stuff I showed you yesterday in what he said in 2012 and 2014, all the lead up. So let's move on to the next part now. Let's move on to, not Mark Jackson yet. Let's move on to this part. And I brought this up yesterday. What did LeBron say even when LeBron went and signed with the Lakers? He didn't do this when he signed with the Heat, and he didn't do this when he signed back with the Cavs. No, excuse me. He didn't do this when he signed with the Heat. When he went to Miami, he never said, I want to finish my career in Miami. Or he never said that, because you kind of knew as the time went on. He just, like I showed in the video yesterday with Steve Smith, he was kind of like, I don't see myself leaving right now, but that could change. He left the door open, and then eventually left, came back to Cleveland. Well, this is when LeBron went to went to Los Angeles. Before he even played this is before he even played a single, he didn't even have a practice yet in LA. I don't know if he had his introductory press conference in LA yet. This is when LeBron opened the school, and I think it was July of 2018, that summer. I don't think he even spoke to the media yet as a Laker. This is what LeBron said on WKYC, the local channel here in Cleveland, the day he opened the school and He did an interview with Don Lemon when Don Lemon was still at CNN that day, and he also did an interview with WKYC because it was a big story around here nationally as well. But so this is what he told the local reporter when she asked him, "Hey, LeBron, would you ever still consider? I know you just signed with the Lakers. Would you still consider finishing your career here in Cleveland and coming back full circle?" Here's his response.
People have followed you on your journey, your fans, from the kid from Akron to getting drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do you think that there's a possibility for it to go full circle and you come back to Cleveland?
Well, I mean, I don't close no chapters, and I don't circle no doors. Hopefully, I believe, and I will like it. I know my family would be great if someday, my jersey goes up in the rafters and in the Cleveland Cavaliers uniform. So, that would definitely bring us back. But I'm always be in my hometown of Akron, that's for sure. Being around the community in Northeast Ohio as well is just who I am. So we look forward to it.
Thank you. We play the last part there.
Northeast Ohio as well is just who I am. So we look forward to it.
This will always be home for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot to share the last part. I clicked out too early. But she asked if this will always be home to you. He said absolutely. But you hear what he said? Heard what he said there. I don't close no doors. I don't close no chapters. And this is in 2018, after he literally just signed weeks. I mean, we're talking weeks after he just signed with the Lakers. Actually, let me look that up real quick. He signed with the Lakers on July 1st, 2018. Let me look up the day that happened, the day he opened his school. But I know it wasn't that far right after. And so, but again, the fact that she asked him that question, and I think it was July 30th. So within the same month. So a couple weeks later, 3 weeks later, still. And the Lakers he didn't speak to the media as a Laker for the first time till in front of the media out there. I think till like September, I think it was, when they had right before training camp, their media day. So, but again, still though, the guy just signed with the Lakers. This is what he says in an interview when asked. And he says, "I'm going to leave the door open." Okay. Well, let's say LeBron and Donovan Mitchell staying. It sounds like he's staying. Evan Mobley's not going anywhere. You have tradable assets now in Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen. But JB Bickerstaff's probably getting fired. And I talked about yesterday about how I think it was kind of odd to me the Lakers didn't retain Phil Handy. Phil Handy's one of LeBron's favorite assistant coaches. He's basically one of LeBron's boy. Like I said yesterday, he did a seminar by my house like a year ago at the Island. Down here over here in Akron, or Cuyahoga Falls rather, but I'll say Akron area for people who don't know. He's LeBron's guy. Was with him in Cleveland. When LeBron went from Cleveland to LA, he went out to LA eventually. Even when they fired Frank Vogel, they still retained him with Darvin Ham because I think everybody knows LeBron wanted him on the staff. He's there because of LeBron, and he's a great coach. But we know there's a connection there, obviously. And so the Lakers, Phil Handy had 1 year left on his deal for next year. And it's kind of funny, too. His contract was like in the same number of years as LeBron as well, because LeBron has 1 year left on his deal. The Lakers not only fired Darvin Ham, but they fired Phil Handy as well, with 1 year left on his deal. Fired the entire staff, including him. And I just wondered, too, when I remember that I said this yesterday, when I saw that day, I was like, something just doesn't seem right. Why would you think, and going back to what they said, how they're all in on LeBron, we'll give him whatever he wants, right? Just like I showed that yesterday, right here. They'll want any term that he wants. I'm just sorry, you can't convince me that LeBron signed off on them firing Phil Handy at all. Now, maybe they can bring him back if JJ Redick gets hired, and maybe JJ will bring him in, and Mike Krzyzewski's the consultant for helping them. Another cook in the kitchen in LA that they need. It always seems to be 20 different cooks in the kitchen when they're making decisions. It's kind of crazy, but probably part of the problem too. But anyways, maybe they can bring back Phil Handy. I don't see that. I mean, the guy had 1 year left, and you just bladed him. You could have had him for a 1 year deal. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Well, you just fired the guy. So And I wonder how LeBron felt about that, because if LeBron had full control, I highly doubt they would have just fired him outright. And so it makes you really wonder what's going on. Is this LeBron plotting his last dance? And could that be in Cleveland? And I showed you again yesterday, a lot of this, you look at the kind of just a lot of the things that are out there you can look at for little pointers of where maybe he could be pointing towards the Cavs. I just showed you that again, and how a lot of things he did in 2012 and 2014 before as a Miami Heat member, before he became a Cav, and how just now I showed you before he became a Laker member, how he was signaling to the Lakers, how he said both times that he was committed to the team he was on at the time, the Heat and the Cavs, but he eventually did leave. And I showed you too just now how the last time he attended a game in person was the Lakers Summer League game. And we just saw him at the Cavs game the other night. Also that night, Donovan Mitchell did not play. And also that night, LeBron was Dan Gilbert, the Cavaliers owner, guest. He was in Dan Gilbert's guest seat, according to Brian Windhorst on the Pat McAfee show. So you have the tradable assets. Who's going to be your coach now if JB's out? And I'm telling you, I think a real name to keep an eye on, if all this is true, is Mark Jackson. Because I think Mark Jackson is the guy I think LeBron has been connected to for a while. Why do I say that? Because Mark Jackson, at one point, right here, used to be a Clutch Sports client. Now, this is from Mark Stein 2 years ago. I think this is when Jackson was possibly getting looked at for the Lakers for their job at this time when they had a job opening. I think it's before they hired Darvin Ham. And so a lot of people say, well, didn't Mark Jackson used to be with Clutch Sports? Well, it says here in the article, quote, Jackson is not, as frequently reported, represented by Clutch Sports or any other NBA talent agency. Stein did point out that Jackson is still well regarded by Clutch, despite the fact that the agency no longer represents him. Jackson was indeed a Clutch client in the past, and sources say maintains a strong relationship with Clutch CEO Rich Paul, whose foremost client, of course, is the Lakers' LeBron James. There's undeniably a level of support within the Clutch camp for Jackson's candidacy with the Lakers. So two things that stand out there. Two things that stand out in this report. Number one, you see on the bottom, that bottom part there. I'm going to put it full screen for you guys again. That bottom part right there. Jackson was a Clutch client, and he's still highly regarded, has a strong relationship with Rich Paul still. And you see that last part there. There's an undeniably level support from the Clutch camp for Jackson's candidacy to become the Lakers coach at that time. This was 2 years ago, right after they fired Frank Vogel. Now, they eventually went on to fire Darvin Ham. You kind of saw that relationship unravel between LeBron and Darvin Ham. Looking back now, do I think LeBron really wanted Darvin Ham? I don't think so. I think he probably wanted Mark Jackson. It says it right there in the report from Mark Stein. But why can't the Cavs? They're going to have a coaching vacancy. Why can't the Cavs? They can draft Bronny at the 20s, with their 20 whatever pick in the first round, and why not hire Mark Jackson, who I think would be a great coach. Mark Jackson has also said publicly as well about his admiration for this Cavs team. And notice the two players he only points out to here. Quote, because they have a home run hitter in Donovan Mitchell, they have a legit starting five. They have great depth. They have great bigs. They are great at defending, Jackson said on the Mark Jackson show. They have a young star in Evan Mobley. They are a talented basketball team that could have wound up very easily at the second seed. It was a roller coaster season, inconsistent at times, but they have everything it takes to create problems for everybody. So they have a young star Mobley. They got a home run hitter in Donovan Mitchell. Now, he did mention about the depth and the bigs, referring to Jarrett Allen, but he specifically pointed out Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. What did I put in my thumbnail today? By the report that came out from Jason Lloyd today and Tram Sharania and Joe Varden. You can see right there. The head coach vacancy is going to be available. I guess who's going to be on their way out? Darius and J.A. Jarrett Allen. But who's staying? You heard that right. Who's staying? Most likely it's going to be Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, who Mark Jackson pointed out. And specifically, like I said, pointed out when he talked about the Cavs. Look, man, I'm just doing my job. I'm just trying to find connections and just present to you guys the information I see. Why I think we've seen this movie in the past twice with LeBron, when he went from really 3 times. When he went from Miami to Cleveland, from Miami back to Cleveland, and then from Cleveland to LA. We've seen this movie play out before. And I think we're seeing it play out again right before our eyes right now. And it's not a coincidence to me. This article, Jason Light said today, the article was written in the middle of that game last night. The article was written in the game last night, in the middle of it. Before I move on, though, let me finish up with Mark Jackson, though. Mark Jackson also said recently on Gil's Arena his desire to be a head coach again. I'm going to play those right now. And so give me 1 second here. I only have the audio for you. This is Mark Jackson 9 days ago on the Gil's Arena show, Gilbert Arenas' show, with Rashad McCants, Brandon Jennings was up there, Josiah Johnson. And this is, in the beginning of this, is Kenyon Martin asking him a question about his coaching desire. Give me 1 second here. I got to find it. All right here. So here's Mark Jackson. Fair use, YouTube, fair use. Here's Mark Jackson about his desire to still be a head coach.
Come in. No, I certainly appreciate that. And,
it's my personal opinion.
No, I take it. I appreciate that. From my standpoint, I believe that I have the ability to impact college and pros.
Yeah.
So whatever opportunity presents itself, there was success in Golden State. 19 straight years, one trip to the playoffs, and all of a sudden we make the playoffs after the first year, 2 years in a row, and win 50 games. It wasn't me, it was us.
Yeah.
We did a great job of establishing a culture and changing the culture. So I'm honored to have played a role. Proof is in the pudding. I'm seeing guys get 3 and 4 and 5 opportunities that you can question. There's no gotta say no names, but
yeah. And I agree with Mark Jackson on that too. There's a lot of guys that have gotten jobs over him. We all know why Mark Jackson probably doesn't have a job, because of his personal beliefs, and that's just my opinion. I'm a stand on it, and I'm always going to defend Mark Jackson for that too, and anybody for that matter, with whatever their beliefs. But that's a whole other thing. But again, going back to the main point today with Mark Jackson, with LeBron, with the report that came out about the Cavs blowing it up, and I'm just trying to present to you where my mind is right now, seeing all this information, seeing LeBron at the game. Just all the stuff we've heard recently in the last week, even about LeBron, the Cavs, and just all this connection. I think this could all be connected in a way. We could see all this. We might be seeing a transition of a new head coach, maybe LeBron coming back to Cleveland, getting Bronny. We might be seeing this all unfold before our eyes now. And so I found it very interesting, again, like I said yesterday, number one, that Donovan sat out. Too, he sat out for us to see us the night LeBron was in town. Jarrett Allen did not play at all, and then also last night, Caris LeVert didn't play either, which was kind of odd to me. He looked fine the last 2 games, but all of a sudden, Caris didn't play. And why do I bring that up as a point? Because here's a trade scenario, and you're probably gonna have a hard time seeing this. I apologize. I'll make it full screen. If we're trading Darius, if we're trading Jarrett Allen, right? Stay with me here. And we're going to acquire LeBron. Now, LeBron could opt out of his contract and just sign here, but I think he wants the $51 million. And so if LeBron opts into his contract for $51 million, right? How can the Cavs make a trade work? And where would we trade Darius? And so here's the first. I did a Cavs-Lakers trade. I'm going to break that down first. You're going to see the Miami Heat up here. I'm going to say why I brought the Miami Heat here in a second. And so, again, I apologize you can't see this. I'll make it full screen. I'll read the names to you. So my Lakers trade is this with the Cavs. LeBron, obviously, to the Cavs. Jackson Hayes, a young center, who I believe has a player option. He can opt into his contract for $2 million, 1 more year. Especially, I think, if he knows he's coming to Cleveland and, they need another big now because Jarrett's gone. I think they can make that happen. The Cavs would send Jarrett Allen. Caris LeVert would have to go in the trade because it makes the money work, and Isaac Okoro, and probably some draft capital maybe. And so some people may see this trade, especially Lakers fans, go, that's not enough for LeBron at all. Doesn't equal the value. Give us Mobley, give us Garland at least. Or obviously they want Mitchell, but I don't think they're getting him or Mobley. Here's the thing, though. You got to remember yourself. You got to ask yourself, if you know LeBron wants to leave and he can opt out and go, well, LeBron could say, listen, I'm trying to get you some assets back for me. How about we just do a sign and trade? How about I opt in my contract and you move me to where I want to go? Because I'm leaving either way. And if you don't want to do that, then I'll opt out and I'll still leave and go elsewhere. Basically a sign and trade could be a possibility here. But that is a trade scenario I brought up with if LeBron opted in the $51 million. Took the $51 million this year, I think would be smart for him, and then get another contract next summer, maybe like for a year or two, or a 2-year contract with a player option, right? And so where he could still get that in total $164 million possibly, or close to that, I believe. I'm not the best capologist here, but that's my first part of the trade, how the Cavs could make it happen right now. And again, I threw in, and the Lakers wouldn't need Jackson Hayes anymore because you just brought in Jarrett Allen, and the Cavs could use him, as another big. They would need another big at that point. And so that's my trade for the Cavs. And the Lakers would be Jarrett Allen, Karis LeVert, and Isaac Okoro is probably on his way out of here anyways. No, Isaac, I believe, I think they have a team option on him. And so you obviously pick that up and you put him in the trade. But I just found it interesting Karis LeVert didn't play last night either. I just, I feel like if he was going to, I don't know, sometimes teams sit guys out, but they know they're not going to win the game. And nobody expected them to win the game last night. They knew they were going to lose. They knew the series was over. That report came out. It was typed up and ready to go in the middle of the game. So, and they put that stuff out. That stuff obviously got to these reporters somehow. So, Karis LeVert sat out. So he would have to be included in the trade to make the money work. So that works. Now, why did I mention the Miami Heat? And I'll break down my Miami Heat trade. I got Tyler Hero, a 6'5", 6'6" shooter who'd be perfect with LeBron. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. You can put him alongside Darius. Josh Richardson, the shooting guard off the bench, who averaged about 9-10 points this year. Nice little, gives you a nice little burst off the bench. Played with LeBron in LA for 1 year. He also has a player option for 2 years, or I think it was 3 years, $3 million 1 year, but he can opt in, be included in the trade. But then Kevin Love, and this is why I picked Miami. And I sent Darius to Miami and George Niang, because I don't think George Niang really has a future here, to be honest with you. So, and they just paid him that money too, but I just don't see how he's utilized. So, and I think Miami, I know they got Rozier, but I think when you look at Miami right now, they need a real star at the guard position. And I think Darius is still going to be an all-star caliber player in this league. I think he just doesn't fit with Donovan. And I think Darius gives them shooting. He gives them a true point guard, gives them some playmaking to put alongside Jimmy Butler and Bam. I think Miami's got to make some big move, I think they got to shake it up a little bit. And so why not a young rising star in Darius Garland? He's still only 23, 24 years old. So if I'm Miami, I think that's a really good trade. And they've been trying to get rid of, you've heard Hero's name mentioned in trades for a little bit now. And you just get up Tyler Hero, Kevin Love, and Richardson, which works well for the cast. Now, why did I mention the Heat, though? Because of Mr. Kevin Love. And Kevin Love recently said this year in November, in a recent article, Cleveland.com's Chris Fedor writes that Miami's big man had an exclusive interview with Cleveland.com after the game. In the interview, Love expressed how ending his career in Cleveland remains a possibility for him. Quote, "I'm never ruling that out. I have so many great relationships there and people that I love. I'm not done with Cleveland. I am definitely open to coming back and retiring there." And this is Kevin Love in November. So, very interesting. LeBron could possibly come back to Cleveland. Kevin Love. I showed you the Mark Jackson possibly taking over as the head coach. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of smoke in Cleveland right now. And I think a lot of it's centered around the Cavs, LeBron, the Lakers. I think all this might be connected. And I broke it all down to you today. So what do I think about all this? And that's my presentation on all this for today as well. And so I appreciate you guys for staying around and listening to that. Why I think I'm just sharing with you guys what I think could be happening right now with all this. With the bombshell report last night from Shams and Jason Lloyd and Joe Vard, which was a great piece by them. Shout out to them. Great work as always. They did great work. And just LeBron at the game Monday night, and now Darius and Jarrett Allen are all of a sudden now probably out of town, and JB's probably out of town now, and I just think it's all lining up for LeBron, man. I think it looks like it could be that it could. I don't want to commit fully, just like Brian Windhorst said yesterday in that quote. I'm gonna put it up again because I agree with him. And Wendy follows LeBron better than anybody his whole career. But it's just like Windhorst said yesterday at the end there. I'm just gonna read the last part. He's extremely strategic, and I wish I could tell you I knew exactly what he was doing. I do not pretend to know, but he's got to be up to something. This was about LeBron being at the game the other night. And so that's where I'm at with all this. Him going to the game the other night and just all this smoke with the Cavs now today, now that the season's over. And why I did my show, why I did that presentation yesterday about LeBron's last dance and why I'm calling it LeBron's last dance. I just think this is all connected, man. I really do. I don't think he's going back. I just don't think the Lakers make sense for him or for Bronny. And if LeBron really wants to go out with a bang like Michael Jordan's last dance and put Bronny in the best situation possible, what I mean by we all remember Michael Jordan's last dance. He went out, the documentary in 2020, which we all watched, phenomenal documentary. But Michael Jordan, in his prime years of competing for a championship, went out his last one at Utah, his sixth championship, with a ring. And so I think LeBron would like to win one more championship. But how can he obtain that? He's not going to get it in the West. He can't stay. Even if they got Trae Young or Klay Thompson, like that one report said, whoever, I don't think they're getting Donovan because, like the report says today, Donovan's probably staying in Cleveland. So I just don't. They're not going to make it out of the West. They can't get. They're not going to get through Denver still. Minnesota's on a great team on the rise with a phenomenal player. I mean, Jokic and Edwards right now are probably the 1-2 best players in the league, battling out. And I can't wait to see the game tonight. That's gonna be phenomenal. But then you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and OKC with Jalen Williams. And they can maybe add some pieces. They got some assets. I mean, Durant's still out west. Who knows what he does? I mean, Steph Curry still is on the Warriors, and as long as he's in his healthy in his prime, he's a threat. There's a lot of there's a lot of great teams out there. There's gonna be some moving pieces probably out west too to make some teams better. The Clippers are still there. Dallas. I mean, there's so many teams. It's too hard for him, and they just haven't been able to get it done. When they went up against the best team, the team they had to get over in 2023 the year before, they got swept. And this year they play them again, and they lose in 5. I mean, there's just, I think this Lakers thing with LeBron has run its course. I think they maxed it out. They've squeezed as much juice out of that thing as they could. I think it's over with now. And I think LeBron going to the game the other night, just like Brian said, he's very strategic. He doesn't do that for no reason. A lot of people say, was he there meeting Donovan Mitchell at the game? Number one, if LeBron's going to meet Donovan, if LeBron's whole goal was to get Donovan in LA, he's not going to show up to the Cavs game and meet him in Cleveland. He's going to go meet him when the season's over. He could have met him. He could have met him now, next week, in LA or something. It would have been very private. It would have been probably somewhere in LA. Donovan would have flew out there. Or, they would have talked. That's not what's going on. All right. I'm sorry, Lakers fan. I know, and I get it. You take LeBron off that Lakers team, they're not as interesting. And the Lakers have to be relevant. You take LeBron out of there, not as relevant. And who knows how they'll turn around, how quickly they can turn around. It is LA. Maybe they can sign somebody in a year or two, but I think he's gone. Right now, at this point, I think he's leaving. And I think he's looking towards the Cavs. It makes all the sense in the world. And the Cavs, that report last night just kind of added more fuel to the fire that I showed you guys yesterday on my show and why I called it LeBron's last dance. So now why I'm putting that photo in today's thumbnail where it says shaking it up. Just saying. And then you see Kevin Love's comments about coming back to Cleveland. I wonder why Kevin Love maybe has that idea. I don't know. Maybe does Kevin Love want to come back just himself for himself? I don't know. I mean, word travels around the league among circles privately all the time. And so we'll see what happens with all this. We'll see what happens. But that's my take on all this. That's my take on the Cavs news and just all this stuff today. I appreciate you guys sitting here listening to me yesterday and today, breaking down all this. It's a lot. And so, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. We're gonna break down the Brown schedule here real soon. Don't worry, I'll get Antonace on, and we'll maybe make that a live here soon, because I know we'll probably have a good debate out of that with myself and all the guys. So and then Mike. And so that'll be interesting. But if you haven't seen yesterday's episode, go check that out as well. I break it down yesterday, and it goes along with today. I show a lot more information yesterday as well about just why I think this could all be smoke towards LeBron heading back to Cleveland, him going to the game the other night, and like I said, just all this. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Love all you guys. Like, subscribe, share it, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Wait, I lost my train of thought there. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Gone. That's what I meant to say. Gone.